Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Airbnb Nomads podcast. And on this week's Property Education Masterclass, we are joined by the incredible Jurrien and Sara. Now, Jurrien and Sara have just spent the last year and a half traveling the entire length of Europe in their fully electric camper van, and all whilst making a completely passive income. Get ready to get excited, get ready to be inspired to see exactly what is possible when you say, screw it, let's do it, and you take that massive leap into the unknown. Now, if you get inspired by this episode, guys, I would massively appreciate a review on whichever platform you're listening to. And until we get to that point, grab yourself a cuppa. This is a long one because there's so much juicy stuff in this episode. I literally couldn't end it. So much cool stuff. So excited. Can't wait for you to hear it. Here we go. Okay, we have got Jurrien and Sara joining us on the podcast today. Guys, thanks for joining me.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you coming on. And I think the listeners are going to get some juicy stuff out of this podcast because this one's going to be a little bit different. So up until now, obviously, as the name suggests, the Airbnb Nomads, what we've normally done up till now is we've kind of blended the property world with travel, with how you can kind of use that to create this kind of nomadic lifestyle, which I'm a big fan of. And I think that a lot of people are starting to move over to that way of living post-COVID. But I came across you guys on some socials and I was so interested in your story because not only have you been living this, I believe, fantastic lifestyle for the last year and a half, you've been doing it completely self-sufficiently in your electric camper van, right? You've traveled pretty much all the way across Europe. And the most impressive thing is that you've done it. I think it's amazing that you've done it as a couple in this van. I've had a few camper van experiences in the past with previous relationships, and I think it can be quite challenging. So I thought that having you guys come on, hearing your story, I find it incredibly inspiring, incredibly motivational. And I think that a lot of people are going to hear it and see the potential in the other way of living, in experience, in excitement, travel, community, all of that, seeing the world. I think it's amazing. So I wanted to have you on. So thanks so much for joining. So Jurrien and Sara, why don't we just start right back at the beginning? Tell us about where you're from, how it all kind of began, where this travel bug came from, and tell me a little bit about you two as a couple and where that all began.
Right. Well, we go way back, as you say. We've been together for over 12 years now,
Yeah,
I think.
a bit more, yeah.
Yeah, we met in the student city of Groningen in the north of the Netherlands. And when we met, I think, we were still both in uni, weren't we?
I was still studying,
yeah,
at least. You almost done, I think.
Yeah. And I had caught the travel bug quite early on during my studies. I studied English, and that allowed me to go abroad for a couple of times and for a longer time as well. So that's really how I caught the bug. And then out of uni, I got really lucky and I landed a job at Lonely Planet magazine in the Netherlands, which allowed me to start traveling a whole lot more. And then meanwhile, Jurrien was graduating from art school and basically had to make a decision whether to pursue design or photography. And since I was already traveling as a travel writer and could also have photographers accompany me, it made a lot of sense.
It was a pretty easy choice
Yeah, it was an
to
easy choice.
invest in camera gear instead of in a workshop somewhere.
Yeah,
And that's what
sounds like the perfect mix.
Yeah, we were lucky
so
with
that you said that the Lonely Planet guide. I've done it. The reason why I wanted to have you guys on, I was saying to you before we started, I've done a lot of traveling myself. I still travel, right? I still spend a lot of time moving around, mostly kind of found my happy place in Spain right now, currently, Spain, UK. But back in my younger days, I did the typical milk run, right? Southeast Asia, Australia, did all that proper down and dirty backpacking. And I remember the Lonely Planet guides were like, That was just the way you did it, right? There wasn't any Google, there wasn't any online information. It was all in this Lonely Planet guide. Is it still as popular today as it was back then in
Oh,
like
it's
early
so funny that
2000s?
you say it because I'm immediately thinking of a conversation we
Last
had.
week, I think we
Yeah.
had a conversation with a lot younger people than we are, and they were asking how, basically what you're asking, how come you live in a van and how can you afford to do it like this? Um, and they were, so we told them about Lonely Planet and the guides and the things we did, and they were basically blank from what are the Lonely Planets. So we
Really?
told them it's a book. Well, a book they knew, but it was
They didn't even understand the concept of guidebooks anymore.
yeah.
And it was only when we started thinking
Right.
of how do we even describe it to them, and we came to, you said,
I said a TripAdvisor, but on paper, and then they were
and
like,
then they were like, okay,
"Wow,
gotcha.
Wow. That's a
Guides
little
are
bit
thinking
scary, right?
fast.
Because
yeah,
that was the Bible back in the day. That was the
Yeah,
Bible.
yeah. Today
You
it's
got your Lonely
TikTok.
Planet for Asia, right? You got your Lonely Planet for wherever you was going. You got the book, and there was everything that you needed in there to keep you alive.
Yeah. Today I think TikTok is the Bible for these young people. So yeah,
Oh
it's
man,
definitely
but still,
that's actually pretty
we have
sad.
them in the van from the countries we're
yeah,
going to, but we basically have them. So we like the design and the books as a physical object, but we never use them for information. We Google everything,
yeah.
and I think Google is
Right.
already behind on some of the stuff in travel because, well, TikTok.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, it is a sad truth. I mean, it's not all sad. Like
yeah.
obviously, like we come from a print background, so for us, it's it's a little sad. But we do think, yeah, it's evolving, isn't it? And we love still reading those books and magazines for like the background info and the expert opinion. But yeah, like Jurrien's saying, we also use a lot of online sources now, and I think that's also okay. Like that's life, isn't it? Like things evolve and change,
There's
and if you
something
don't want
very
to consume like
romantic
podcasts.
about there's something very romantic about the guidebooks, right? Because it's like you said, it's pretty much non-existent now. But back in the day, in my day, I'm 42 now. I'm going back to it. I started doing my like proper hardcore backpacking back in like 2001, 2002, around that time. And you had your books, and it had all the notes in there, and all the scribbles. And if you held on to them, it was really nice to look back and reminisce. And then you had all your physical photos as well. Obviously, that's all gone. So I do believe that I was one of the last, my generation. I'm not sure. I think you guys are quite a bit younger than me, but my generation, we got the last best times, I think.
True, but I do think, like, to look at it that way. I mean, we're nostalgic about it too. I'm 34, you're 32, so a little bit younger. But I think we got the tail end of it.
Babies.
Yeah, but I do think it's important that with this new age of internet, there's also a lot of very cool new companies and opportunities that have cropped up. For example, one of the companies I'm working for now is called Polar Steps, which is an online travel app, and it allows you to do exactly those things that you were just mentioning.
Okay.
So write text from the road, post photos, show your family and friends back home where you are, but it just does it in like such a cool way. And yeah, to see apps like that come into existence now, that's stuff that we didn't even think about like 10 years ago. And I do think it's
Right.
exciting as well.
Right.
Not
Yeah,
just
it's a different it's a different world, right? So, okay, so you guys come together, um, travel writer, photography, right? The perfect blend. And at what point are you like, okay, there's more to life than this typical kind of day to day kind of monotonous kind of grind? And I'm interested in your answer because everything that you're talking about, I can relate to because I've been there, I've done it, I've been to these places, I've had the feeling, still do. And for me, I don't know what it was. I mean, my father traveled; he was quite well traveled. So I don't know if it's something that's kind of in you, that just says there's more to life than just leaving school, getting a job, mortgage, kids, retire, die. So where did that come from for you? Where you just needed more these experiences?
Yeah, good question.
I think you with your mom, right? She
Yeah,
was quite adventurous.
yeah. My mom's raised me single mom, and she's quite a big inspiration for me. And she did some awesome travels in her past. Yeah, I remember looking through what do you call them? Like slides.
Oh, the
Like the
Yeah.
like the negatives. Yeah.
projectors and
Projector slides,
Yeah.
yeah.
from a travels through Africa that she did, and then that really,
Wow.
really inspired me. But I also think, you actually inspired me as well, because right out of school you became a freelancer,
Yeah.
and I saw how much freedom that gave him, freedom to just plan his days how he wanted, plan his work how he wanted. And meanwhile, like, I love my job as editor, but I had a deadline every month, and I
Yeah.
had to come into the office every day when I was not traveling. And I just started feeling, I think, even a little bit envious of you.
Yeah, you had the nice things from travel, but also the bad things from the deadlines.
Yeah.
And I only had the nice things from the travel,
Yeah.
but I had to make some deadlines. But they were like 6 months in advance, so I could do my work any day when I wanted to. And if it was a nice day, I said, "Oh, I will do it tomorrow." She had to go into the office, and that was something you started feeling. How do you say?
Yeah, it started feeling a bit well, just like you say, like that little spark that just starts growing and bigger and bigger. And we had a really nice apartment in the city of Groningen, had our family and friends living close by, and it seemed like the perfect picture. But I guess also the more traveling that we did, because we got the opportunity to travel so much, we went all around the world, and we were gone a lot of the days out of the year. It was a very adventurous lifestyle, and we just started thinking like, hey, could we do this full time? And then the flip side of that was, because of all the travel that we did, it was a lot of flying across the world for a couple of days, and it was very hectic as well. And we also started thinking about, we love this travel, but we want to slow it down a lot more and try slow travel, and make it more sustainable, I guess, in a way as well. And I think that's really how we
So this idea of trying to shift to this nomadic way of living and creating a remote income that can keep you sustained and keep you, afloat while you're traveling and having all these experiences. So that seed was sown, we're going back quite a bit, where you're like, I want to live this way and I've got to find a way to fund it.
Sorry, I think we lost you for a moment. Yeah.
Okay. No, I was just saying, this idea or this realization that you knew that you wanted to live this way, you knew that you wanted to travel, you had the bug, you realized that this was what you wanted from this one life that we have. So the idea of having to create this income that could keep you afloat and keep you sustained through your travels, this remote income, that seed was sown quite a while ago. You knew that you wanted to shift towards that way of generating income.
Yeah, that's right. And then in 2019, I decided to take the plunge as well. And I quit my job as editor to also become a freelance travel writer, because we figured, let's just go for it. It was a really scary decision at the time, because, that was our only steady income that we had. Like all the rest of it was freelance. Freelance stuff that we did, but we decided to go for it. I really wanted to write a book. That was a dream I had for a long time. And I wrote a travel book that year. And it got published in the Netherlands and Germany, which was great. But it didn't do super well, and I didn't earn a lot of money with it, because the pandemic happened and nobody was thinking about traveling anymore. And it was a really weird time for us as well, because we just taken the plunge and we just thought, like, okay, we're going to do it. Like, both of us, freelance, freedom.
Yeah, from one day to the next, our jobs were gone, basically, because we had a couple of trips planned, and they just called and said, "You're welcome when the world opens again." But we didn't know how long that would take. So
you probably didn't think it was going to be as long as it took either.
Money. Yeah,
it was a really strange time, but very luckily, and this was huge luck, I just taken on a freelance project for this company, which I was already talking about, the travel app called Polar Steps. And it was only supposed to be for a couple of months, because then we wanted to start traveling. But then, we couldn't travel anymore. And thankfully, it's a tech company, so they were fine with everyone working remote, and we could just keep going.
Right.
So we ended up, that year 2020 actually making a lot of money and not spending any of it because we couldn't travel,
Right.
Or go to the movies, or
or
go
do anything
anything
basically.
basically. Just like
Yeah.
everybody else couldn't do anything.
It was a crazy
So it
time.
really allowed us to slow down and really start thinking about, okay, so we have this bit of money now. How do we want to do it? Like, what do we want to do? What does the dream look like?
We started thinking about the way we traveled. So flying was one of the things that started to be. Hoe zeg je dat?
Yeah, it just felt. I mean, we still love to fly. Like, don't get us wrong, but we do know. It's just a lot of emissions you're generating by flying.
Sure.
And we were doing it so much, and we were also flying to places where we met a lot of locals, and they were talking about the climate change effects they were already seeing. Like, I don't even remember how many places where it was dry when it was supposed to be raining, or it was raining when it was supposed to be dry. Like, we just started feeling, can we do it more sustainably, basically, in the most big sense of the word, I guess, like more sustainably for us, but also more sustainably for the planet, if you can say it like that.
Well, one of the things we also considered was, okay, if COVID is going to be around for a couple of years, then how is it that we can travel? But if there's a COVID breakout, we can go somewhere else. And then basically, you maybe saw it in the UK as well. The camper vans were a hot thing during the camper vanning. One of the
getting away from people and not being reliant on services and crowds, and completely get it. So guys,
if something happened, just drive off.
Yeah, amazing. I completely get it. I think it's it makes a lot of sense. Tell me about when you made this decision that you were going to quit your jobs and you were going to go freelance and you were going to go off on this new life. I would imagine there's people listening to this, obviously living vicariously through you guys. It's amazing, travel, freedom, living the dream, right? Quote unquote. But they're scared, right? Maybe they've got a house, they've got commitments. Now, obviously, if they've got children, it can get even more difficult, not impossible. A lot of people these days are traveling the world with their kids. But what was it? Was it scary for you? Was it, what were some of the things that were going through your mind when you was thinking about cutting the ties and getting out the typical rat race way of living?
I think you had more issues with it than I did.
Yeah, I definitely did.
I think
Jurrien was pretty good to go already.
Yeah, well, you can always. We didn't have a house. Didn't have a property. We didn't own property. We rented. So that's an easy way to just say, okay, let's go, and we can find a new house when we come back. And if you own property, you might be able to rent it out to via Airbnb or some other company, or to local people that want to have a switch house, or they're converting something and they need a temporary living space or something. There's plenty of ways to get around the property part of it. Kids is a bit more difficult, I think. We don't have any experience with it, but we met some people who took their kids out of school for a year, and then
we've met all the families and all the
Yeah.
camper
Oh, I
vans.
bet.
You can't imagine. The smallest fence pull up, and then the doors open, and first out comes one dog, and then another dog, and then a kid, and then another kid, and then another kid.
and all in a Volkswagen T2 or something. So it's a really small one, and then
And I think it's just a matter of thinking where your priorities lie, because you were really good at. He was just let's go, and also being quite pragmatic. He was always saying, like, if we fail, like, we can find another job. Like, you can always work more, right? But what you can't get more of is time.
We're fortunate that we've got 2 arms, 2 legs, right? You can always work.
Yeah. And for me, I did need a little bit more time and also a bit more security. I said to myself, like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to quit my job, but I want at least 10,000 euros of savings before I do this. So I think it will be about 12,000 pounds. Yeah.
A little less. So about
Yeah.
£8,000 would be about €10,000.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, other way. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So I said, so I wanted to save up. I saved up for a year to be able to hit that mark, just as a bit of extra security. So I knew,
Yeah,
like,
a
if
little
really
cushion. Yeah.
shit hits the fan, yeah, we've got that. Like, we're covered. Yeah, but then the funny thing is, like, yeah, it's often that you're scared of change as well, because you don't know what's at the other end, right? So you kind of choose the devil, if you say it
I
like that.
think like
Yeah.
couple of things that come to mind that I just wanted to touch on as we're kind of moving through the story. Well, first of all, what you just said, right? That when you step out, when you step into the unknown, and when you just say screw it, let's do it, to phrase Richard Branson's favorite quote, and you just step off the ledge into that unknown world, that's when shit really starts to happen, right? That's when
Yeah.
doors open, relationships are made, opportunities come up. You come across people that you would never have met if you'd stayed in your safe little bubble back wherever you was born, right? I know that, you know that, because we've both done it. I've had opportunities and experiences and stories that I've lived, that I've been through during all of my time away, you know, that would never ever, like, I've been offered jobs and positions through building relationships where that person without that relationship would need 15 gazillion degrees to get offered that position. I don't have any of that, but because I was in that right place at the right time, built the relationship, met that strange person in that random place in that bar, and you know what I mean? Things come up. So that's one thing that I would say to people who are thinking, well, what if? What if it doesn't work out? Is it a risk? The risk is staying still, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts on that. I'll be interested in yours. And just what you said before, and we'll touch on the kid thing in a little bit, if that's okay. I'm interested on your thoughts around that. But when people are thinking, should I or shouldn't do this, and I've got kids, that means it's impossible. I would argue that kids are going to learn more in a year of traveling the world through social skills, interactions, experiences, memories, than they would in probably the whole of their time in a school, learning some archaic education system. What's your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I don't think we're the right people to talk about kids because we chose not to have kids.
Yeah, we're child free.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's
Awesome.
maybe not our
Yeah.
place to say things like, "Oh, you can take your kids for over a year and nothing will happen," because I don't know. I don't have kids. I don't know. I don't want.
I mean,
kids.
I don't have kids, but
Yeah.
I do genuinely believe that, because I've seen kids who have
Yeah.
been brought up in this
Yeah.
alternative way of living,
All
and that
kids
they
are
can
different,
talk
right?
like, the social skills are just amazing.
Yeah, but yeah, all kids are different, so they will react differently
Right,
to
right.
the circumstances. So I don't think you can say one way of teaching children is the way, because there are. I myself am not. Um, I was not a good learner in school. I'm dyslexic,
No, same.
and the school system, how it was set up in the Netherlands, wasn't the way I should be learning. But
Yeah.
still, I'm with one of, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 kids in one school. We all have to do the same thing because there's a curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep.
I don't believe in that system, but still, we have to have some kind of way to do that. But you can take kids on the road, I think. Yeah, homeschool.
For sure.
Yeah.
We've met so many, like,
Yeah.
the past year and a half alone in the camper van. We've met so many families out there doing it. Like, I think, it might be really cool to also have them as a guest on your show. Like, find a family that's doing it with kids, because I think a lot of listeners might be amazed, like, how much is possible, and especially now, which I think we'll touch upon as well in a bit. Now that the internet is just so much better on the road, and we've all learned from those COVID days that remote work and remote learning is possible with a bit of adjustment. I think it's also going quite fast now. Like, you see a lot more people hitting the road, like we are, but I think also a lot more families hitting the road and finding alternative ways of schooling their kids as well.
Yeah, and back to the part, if people are scared to give up everything they have, they don't have to. You can maybe talk to your employer if you can take like 5 weeks off and rent a house somewhere in Spain to try, because living in Spain is way cheaper than living in the UK, for example. So
Absolutely.
if you can
Yep.
rent out the property, rent a property you're going to live in, and then work from that location, then you basically can break even, or maybe even get a little bit more money, because it's cheaper
And
to live
this
in.
is this
Yeah.
this is one of my bugbears at the minute, because I, like you, and hopefully like other people listening to this, are well traveled, right? You get to see how society and everything is working in different countries. And I think that a lot of people in the UK, and I don't want to bash the UK, even though, I choose to spend a lot of time outside of it. It's not my, I do see a lot of flaws with it. But a lot of people here who are struggling, they're getting hammered in, with all the cost of living, the cost of food, the cost of fuel, everything. You get hit from every single different way possible as soon as you walk out your door. And I think that a lot of people here think that that's the way that the world is. That's the way the whole of Europe is. The whole of Europe's in a mess. Everyone's hurting. And I say to people, it's not true. Like when I go back to Spain, people are smiling, they're happy, they're outside, they're enjoying the sun, they're living okay. Of course, it's tough times, in most places, but it's especially hard in the UK. And you just said it's cost of living in Spain. Obviously, you guys are in an electric camper van, that helps massively. But aside from that, food, right? Just basic bits and pieces. It's a hell of a lot cheaper.
Wine.
Wine is cheap,
Yeah.
but
Wine,
it's a
tapas.
it's also a great way to see how good you have it when you come home.
Yeah.
Because we were in Portugal for 2 months, I think.
Yeah.
And the average income is like around 500 euros.
Yeah. In Portugal.
In Portugal.
Yeah.
Well, when was the last time you tried to live on 500 euros?
Yeah.
Or pounds, for that matter?
Yeah.
It's for a month. So that's it's a nice way to see. It's always bad where you are, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the milk is going up, bread is way more expensive, gas is going up, but going out of that environment and seeing how other countries also have these issues, but maybe even worse, compared to one of the Western worlds, then
it just makes you more grateful for it. We always, I think the UK and the Netherlands are quite similar cultural wise. Like we in the Netherlands always find something to complain about, and we do think like in these times of like increasing division and fear of strangers, fear of particular people, travel is one way to sort of combat that a little bit and actually show people how similar we all are really across the world, and also how good we have it in some countries.
Am I right in saying that the Dutch are very, very well traveled? Because I've met some incredible Dutch people on my travels, and they've always been like full of energy and happy. And is that
we
the
are
stereotype?
It's insane.
Yeah.
The Dutch are everywhere, and I think it's something from the golden age. How was it? The VOC?
Yeah, we're a trade nation. Like we have a long history of trade and travel going back. One that definitely has a very dark side too. We were one of the colonial countries, of course. But I do think it's very linked to that. And of course, we're a small country as well. Nobody knows our language. Like you definitely don't need to learn Dutch.
It's a very crazy language.
Very for sure.
It's all spoken back here, right at the back of the throat.
Very my name is Sara van Geloven. So,
oh wow.
But that's really helped, I think, because we learn English in school like from a young age. We're very outward looking, and I think
France, German.
We
learn all the languages.
We learn a lot of different languages.
And you can choose Spanish or France, or so we can get them all if you want to.
And that really helps, I think. We're very travel.
And then you've got the ignorant English. We don't speak anything. We just expect the rest of the world to adapt to us. It's
you're not the only country that does, but it's one of the.
I mean, we do sort of get it because your language is the world language, basically.
But, I won't say that.
No. We still need to try harder. Yeah. We do.
Do you speak Spanish?
So I speak a little bit, but not nearly as much as I should for the time that I spend there. And again, it's because, there's all the Spanish, or the majority speak English, you get lazy, but I really try to, I try more than most. I try to really adapt to the country that I'm in. I'm not completely switched off to it. Okay. So I want to start heading in the direction of kind of where you guys are now. because I think that's quite fascinating. So you kind of realized early on that you wanted to kind of hit this thing with the camper van, right? Because you wanted the ability, it's the ultimate freedom, isn't it? To just, have these four wheels that can take you anywhere. So, and you spoke about, how you was finding it, quite a concern, the whole climate issues and climate concerns that obviously everybody is aware of now. But tell me, maybe I'm wrong in this, but I feel like it's still quite early for you guys to be coming up with this plan of doing this whole thing in an electric camper van. Are we not could you not have done with a few more years before you decided
We
to go all
thought we
electric?
weren't so early. Actually, we thought like it was back in 2020. We were like, well, Teslas are selling like hot pans in Norway. Like there's more electric vehicles there than there are
being sold.
non-electric. Yeah. So we really thought like it should be that hard, right? An electric camper van just makes sense. Should be easy. But we definitely
Buying one wasn't the issue.
Yeah. We were a bit optimistic about it. Like when we tried to search for one, we found that there were only very small models out. There are more small models out now, like the Volkswagen ID Buzz, maybe
the Mercedes AMQ with the pop top. So
very cute
big
small
bucks.
electric camper. But yeah, we wanted to go full time and live in it, and Jur is quite tall, and we said like, yeah, we need some space. So we started looking and found a couple of models that seemed all right, and then we found the Fiat Educato, which they just announced. It wasn't even on the market yet, and we were like, yeah,
are these full production electric vans?
Yeah.
Production electric cargo van.
Yeah.
Small cargo vans.
Yeah. Because at that point we already realized to buy a fully converted electric camper van that was just not possible yet because they didn't exist.
Right.
So we knew, okay, it's going to have to be an electric cargo van that we convert ourselves. So that's fine.
So they're just now starting to come with concepts from the bigger brands. So in a couple of years you can buy an electric Heimler or something like that, but they're still not here. And that's probably because it's difficult to do it electric yet, at least at the size we wanted to do it.
We were just so optimistic, and thankfully, because it was quite a hard road actually to get here, and if we'd known in advance how hard it was going to be, maybe indeed we should have waited a couple of years. But we found the Fiat Educato, decided to put a down payment on it without even having been able to take a test drive because it wasn't out yet. So we just
this was a new van that you bought.
Brand new
wow
vehicle.
Okay,
bought on scene because it wasn't produced yet. So
and then
so that isn't that quite isn't that a bit like, I would have thought most people who are converting a van, they probably would have bought like an older one because they're going to chop it up and pull it all apart anyway.
The first day we got it, we took out a separating screen where we basically are behind now. So normally there would be a screen here. And this, I think in the first week, we brought it away to get windows installed. So there was somebody in a workshop that just started cutting into our brand new van from just a week old.
Oh my God.
That was a bit nerve-wracking. That's why we let it do somebody who had done it before. I would do it now myself because I have more experience in converting camper vans. So it's not hard, but it's scary.
But the reason we went for it is we wanted the range because we wanted to be able to travel across Europe, and they were selling this one. Well, I'm not sure exactly what the range was they said, but the real range is about 230 miles. So for us, that was enough. We were like, that's gonna be.
You did the conversion quickly.
Yeah. I was just converting it right now.
How do you know that?
So that was really the reason that we went with the Educato. There are, interestingly, now coming options on the market where you can take an old van, a diesel van, and have it converted to electric and also have a decent range. So that's also really interesting. But we didn't have that option yet, so we just decided to go for it. But it was a very long and tough road because it was still COVID, so there were a lot of delays. So we got our van much later than we anticipated. Meanwhile, we'd already given up our apartment and moved in with Jur's parents, where we were going to do the conversion in a couple of months. Well, 1 year later.
No way. A year? Holy
also
shit.
Because we had a breakdown of the van as well, because it was so new. There were a lot of teething issues. So we would never recommend anyone to buy a first model out of the factory without
Right.
other models being
We
on
basically
there.
got one of the first 100 that was
Yeah.
produced by Fiat. So there's bound to go wrong, and we had one of the vans that did.
Which meant
Yeah.
it was at the workshop for almost 4 months. So it was a really, really tough time. Like, I'm laughing about it now, but it was.
That's a hell of long. Yeah, a year for a van conversion. That's quite a long time.
Yeah, we thought we're gonna do it in 6 months, easy.
Yeah, no way.
No,
It took way longer.
And we're basically still not done because there's something I want to change because life, you find something and then you want to do something different.
I think that's kind of like having a house. Like, it's never really finished, is it?
Of course, it's an ongoing project.
If you have a new kitchen, you're gonna go into the bathrooms. Yeah.
Did you guys, what before you really committed to this journey? Did you presumably like sit down with like a map and checked all the charging points were available and plan like a whole itinerary? Was that part of the plan?
Not specifically, actually. Like, we knew, like, coming from the Netherlands, we knew the charging infrastructure in several countries was already good. Netherlands is, by our experience, actually the best in Europe in terms of charging infrastructure.
Okay.
Better than Scandinavia, actually. But we knew Scandinavia was going to be good as well. But we'd never driven an EV before. We didn't. We
never owned a car.
It was just a huge leap that we just decided to do.
So you went from not owning a car to an EV camper van conversion, just take it around the whole of Europe. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, it was something we tried before, camper vanning.
Yeah.
So we had, for work, we had the luxury we did it twice for work, I think, to experience living in a van for a couple of days, which was amazing. We went to the UK as well.
Which is something we would recommend anyone like thinking about doing van life full time. Just please rent a van first, take it out for like, even if it's just for a couple of days, because it will really show you like what you need, what you don't need.
But even if you want to buy one, because they're really expensive, rent the exact model you want with every option you want. If you want a shower, take it out with the shower, try the shower. We tried it. It wasn't for us. So we decided not to build a shower in our own van. Trying it for at least a week to see how it is, finding water on the road, getting...
just all the van life admin that you have to do. And so we did. Okay, so it's not like we just jumped and didn't do like any preparation. Like, we rented a similar van, but obviously a diesel one, because there wasn't an electric on the market yet. So that was different.
So that's pretty amazing. So I can just see like time's just flying here because I'm so interested. So okay, so you've got the camper conversion now. It's all ready to go. You've done a bit of a vague itinerary. Was there a timeline here? Did you think, we're going to be gone for this amount of time, and then we're going to come back? What was it just leave it wide open and let's see what happens?
Yeah, you could take this one.
Yeah, we said a minimum of 1 year, we said, because it was such a huge investment also on our part. We did do it as a business investment. That's how we were able to do this whole thing. We said minimum 1 year, but let's see how we go, because we knew we were going to be working from the road as well. So it's not like a sabbatical for us. It's really a lifestyle. And then we went to Scandinavia first, because we figured like, let's try the easy route first with a lot of charging stations. But quite soon we found like we built up our confidence and we figured like, let's just go across.
First couple of weeks you're panicking because you're going up a hill and you see the battery drain and you think, oh my God, am I gonna make it? And then you're on top of the hill and then you go down, you get some battery back. It's pretty easy, but you have to get used to the way of driving. Not going 110 kilometers an hour on the highway, but just slow down, which was one of the things we wanted to do. Slow travel.
And we also learned in those first couple of months how much internet we needed. Answer, a lot. So we decided to order Starlink, which is Elon Musk's satellite internet. And we put it on our van. And that allows us to have unlimited internet, which is just fantastic if you have to do video calls or podcasts or
but we still have a fallback. Because there are some limitations to the Starlink.
But we just found while doing this live that we really loved it and that we could earn our money from the road, which means that we can technically do it indefinitely. I'm not sure if we're going to be like living full time in it. Like we're looking at property a little bit as well while we're traveling now. But yeah, we don't
Well,
have.
was part of the idea, guys, that traveling like this and seeing so many places, that you would get the opportunity to say, this is where we want to be, because the other way that we do it, right, that society just works, you wherever you get born, you just buy a house there. It's not necessarily where you want to be. It doesn't tick all the boxes. It's just where you are. So you've got this incredible opportunity through living this way to literally cherry pick. Yes, this is exactly what we're looking for, or no, we need it to be a little bit warmer or a little bit closer to the beach or whatever it is. So that's pretty cool, right? So is that what you was thinking?
It's basically what we do every time we take a walk somewhere and we see a house on a cliff, in a forest, on a lake.
Yeah.
We say, oh, that would be a great place to have a house, or at least in this region, find something like that. But we're saying that in Norway, we're saying that in Portugal, we said it in Italy as well. So,
but we're narrowing it down.
We're narrowing it down, yeah.
But it's a great way, really, to explore Europe. Like you just, like camper van travel, we already touched upon it. Like it's such freedom. Like you don't have to plan anything out. You just drive off, and you don't even know. Like most of the days, we don't even know where we're going to be sleeping that night because you have your house with you. So you always can just park up somewhere, and you've got everything you need. And it's just one of the best ways to travel and explore. And we also know multiple people who've done it this way. So who've done van life for like a year, 2 years, traveling around Europe. And we've got some friends of ours, for example, who fell in love with the region Piemonte in Italy. And they just bought an old farm there, which they're going to convert to a B&B now. So I think, there's a lot of van lifers doing it this day, whether they intended to or not. You just, you can just fall in love with it.
So what you just said about sometimes you don't know where you're going to be sleeping or parking or going. I would admit, like the few camper van trips that I'd done with my partner at the time, it was great, but definitely there was some elements of stress around it because every night it was like, okay, where are we going to go tomorrow? How do we get there? We've got to be there by then to see the sunset, and we've got to be there by then. You know what I mean? Then where are we going to park? And we've got to plug in, and we've got to. So presumably, when you're living that way on a long-term basis, it's different. You're not every day planning and stressing about seeing all this stuff. It's just chilled. Let's see where we go. Much nicer way of doing it, I'd imagine.
It's finding the balance between work, seeing where you are, because everywhere you are, there's something nice to see. So you go into town, or there's some kind of lighthouse you want to walk to, or
there's a beach right behind us, and we haven't even walked on it because we've been working all day. But we're gonna.
I see that. It's a pretty nice view. See the sea.
Yeah.
But it is tricky sometimes to find the balance because, you're right. Like while you're traveling, you see so many amazing places and you want to explore and do everything. But it's also life and it's working as well. So it is trying to find a balance. And the luxury indeed is in the time that we have just so much time. We can also say sometimes we're in a spot we say, we'll get back here someday. Like Portugal, we didn't see
basically the north of it.
We were there for 2 months, but we didn't see the north because the weather was just not great. But we said like, we'll be back.
It's where all the vineyards are and everything, right up in the north. Yeah.
And we also have the when we started our travels, we did it the same way you did. We traveled every day to another location, wanted to be there before it was dark and see the sunset. And we did it for like a year. And the people we met who had been doing it for longer said, it's going to be fine. In a couple of months, you're going to settle into a rhythm, and you're going to slow travel. So you're going to stay at least for 2 or 3 days. And then now we're looking at places. Oh, can we stay here for like a week or 2 weeks maybe? So it's getting slower, even slower than you might do in the beginning. Because it's really hectic to do it all at once. If you do it for a week, it's I think it's killing because you want to relax, but you also want to see a lot, and then it's
especially if you're working, which I think that is one of the challenges. I definitely struggle with it when I'm when I'm here, when I'm in the UK and it's windy or it's cold like it is today, I've got zero problem sitting here on the computer all day, writing, recording content, whatever it is I'm doing. But when I go to Mallorca, and every morning I wake up and it's like blue skies, and I'm a huge cyclist, right? So that's the thing that kind of, keeps me going. I love being out on the bike up in the mountains. So I wake up and it's like Monday, and I'm like, okay, I got to work. But then it's like blue skies and sunshine and perfect riding weather, and I'm like, I'll just go and get a couple of hours in. So do you struggle with that kind of that balance of trying to stay disciplined?
Sometimes, yeah, but I also think it makes you more productive in a way because you know what you could be doing as well. So it just makes you, yeah, way more productive in your work. I think like I would never want to go back to an office job where I would be paid to work 40 hours a week. Is it? Yeah, 40 hours a week. Because when I'm at
If
the
you're
office, like
lucky.
I do work. Yeah, when I'm back in Amsterdam, for example, and I visit the Podersteps office, which I love to do because it's a really cool bunch of people and meet everyone, I'm so unproductive. In an office, you're just talking all the time, and you know, like, yeah, there's 8 hours in a day. Like, I'm gonna be here from 9 to 5. It's fine. Like, that's okay. Like, if that's your thing, that's totally fine. But that's a choice as well, right? Like, you can also, if you're working for yourself, just try and find ways to do it quicker, just to get
Yeah.
the work done quicker and be more productive, and also outsource like stuff you maybe don't like doing. And I quite like I'm definitely not perfect at it, but I do like that sort of edge that it gives because yeah, you just know how you could also be spending your time. And I definitely don't aim to work 40 hours a week anymore. Like I still do sometimes, but I'm actually trying to cut back because why would you?
Yeah. And this is the thing, and this is the other problem with, I don't want to keep sounding like a negative person about, this typical way of living. But it's kind of ironic, right? When you're in the typical way of living, chained to the job, the corporate job, fighting your way in the traffic on the underground, getting into the office at all, doing all the crazy hours. So you end up making a significantly greater amount of money, right? Probably on
Hopefully,
average than
unless
you
you're
would
doing
if you're,
something
yeah,
wrong. Yeah.
exactly. But here's the issue with it. You're making significantly more, but then you end up spending significantly more on all this materialistic shit that just to make yourself feel like it's worth it. So bigger house, bigger mortgage, more expensive sofa, bigger flat screen TV, nicer car, nicer clothes. So you end up actually being worse off because now you've got all this shit that you need to service. So you guys are finding that living this much more simpler way of life, not having all that stuff, all of a sudden, and this is, I bang on about this all day long in the content that I put out. If you bring down your outgoings, your all, get rid of all that stuff and just bring it right down, all of a sudden you don't need to work until you're 65,
Yeah.
right? You don't need to put in 40, 50, 60-hour weeks just to pay for all this shit, because now you're having experiences. You're changing the expensive car and all of that stuff for experiences and memories and things that you're going to take with you and actually be able to hold on to forever. It's very simple, but most people get lost in that.
Yeah, and it's just hard, right? If you're living in a city and there's so much temptation going around you. Like, I know in Amsterdam, for example, people going to a gym for expensive gym
Competition.
subscription, going, out to dinner every night because it's really nice, but it also is really expensive. And yeah, in that way, if you find it hard to deal with the temptation, I would definitely say go live in a camper van because you
Yeah, you cannot have any of it.
Yeah.
it forces you because you don't have a lot of space. I all my nice white clothes I don't own anymore because you can't wear white and live in a camper van. It's just impossible. You
Yeah.
can't buy stuff really because there's no no room for it.
If the
Um,
van is full, you can't have anything
yeah,
more.
and
Yeah.
okay, we still go out to dinner quite a bit because we really enjoy it. But we do it well. If we're in a country we are right now, then
Of
it's
course.
also a lot cheaper, isn't it?
Sample the
So,
local cuisine.
yeah, yeah, and it's a hack I think as well, and very big privilege also good to mention. But it's if you do come from a country like the UK or the Netherlands and you do travel to Southern Europe or even further afield, it's a big travel hack to have the income that you're used to from those countries and then the expenses in countries like this that just cost a lot less.
Cost less.
Digital nomad life,
Yeah, yeah,
basically.
That's
yeah.
exact.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is. And I think, that term digital nomad, I honestly believe it's changing. It used to have a little bit of a negative connection to it, like, oh, they're bums, they couldn't succeed, they've floated off. But now you know, people that seemingly have everything that society tells you that you should have, the big house and the money and all that, I honestly believe that the majority of those people are looking at people like yourselves, who are free, healthy, living life, seeing places. We're only here once, right? And the time's just flying by, the days, the weeks, the months, the years. And I don't know, for me, I don't know where it comes from. I don't know why I think like this, but it's just so
It's
obvious
all
to
about
me that
choices.
Yeah.
So you
it's
choose to
choices.
keep. Yes, there are some limitations on the choices you can make. For example, having kids, um, but it's all about how do I want to live my life, and how do I want to make the most out of
Yeah.
what I can do.
Yeah.
And that's
And
for us. It is traveling around, seeing some places, and then
Yeah,
work some things, and then done.
yeah. And especially right now, because you don't know how long you're given, like, right? Like, it sounds very cheesy,
exactly.
but it's so true. Like, we've had some losses early on, and it's really changed our
Yeah,
perspective as well. And we do come across a lot of people also from the UK who are in their 60s, 70s and traveling around with a camper van, which I really like.
Nice
That's
people,
really nice.
always
it's
nice
amazing
Yeah,
people.
and
too.
Yeah,
I love that they're doing it. They're out there living the dream, but they tell us quite a lot, like how good they think it is
yeah.
that we're doing it now because they have dealt with sickness before, or
Yeah,
yeah,
Worked their whole lives for a company, and now they're free to
yeah,
travel, and they're saying, "Oh, great, you're doing it in your 30s already,
yeah,
instead of
yeah,
waiting
yeah,
till you're
yeah,
stopped
yeah.
working
yeah,
and basically
Because they're
too
waking
old
up
to
with a
step out of the camper
bad
van."
back, and
Yeah,
it's difficult. It's difficult the older you get. This is the other thing, right? We all go through life planning ahead, got to invest. Think about when we retire. Shit, you know, 6 months time, tomorrow, you might not even be here anymore. So I understand. I obviously invest. You have to think about the future. But at the same time, you got to think about now, next week, next year, put in plans, have a vision, have some ideas about actually living life. This idea of killing yourself for 5, sometimes 6 days a week just to have that 1 or 2 days where you can actually, you know, do what you want to do with the people that you want to be with is it's just so flawed for
and I think it's
me,
exactly like you say, like it's not either or, right? Like it's not that we say like go spend all your money now and just
Mm,
figure it out when you're older. Like no, but you can do it. Like if you're mindful and if you're willing to make choices. Like of course it's not easy all the time. Like we have a composting toilet and we've got running water but not heated, and we don't even have a shower
yeah,
in the van. Like there's trade-offs, right? But that's life, I guess. But you can really quite easily, I think, bring down your expenses and just make sure your income yeah stays the same, or just be creative with it. And I do think a lot of people would be like, it would be possible for a lot of people to do it if you yeah
yeah, and
want to deal with the
we,
trade-offs, and
we
if you have the guts to do it, I
and
guess.
we have
Yeah,
the luxury that we have a job that allows us to do it.
yeah,
We also know people that work 6 months a year
yeah,
and then travel 6 months a
yep,
year in
yeah,
the camper van.
yeah,
yep,
So then
yep,
you work in the summertime on a campground or something, entertaining the kids, and then in winter you travel
yeah,
through
yeah,
Spain, and then the next summer you go to Italy
yeah,
and work there for a couple of months, and then so it's there are multiple ways of traveling and working and living basically as nomads, and you can do it full time, but you can also do it like I work 6 months or 9 months and I travel 3, and
yeah,
there are different ways of doing it. Yeah,
yeah. And I don't think there's really much excuse in this world to say, oh, I'd love to do that, but I can't make any money remotely. It's just not possible in my job. I think pretty much anyone, if they desperately have that bug where they need more, feel like life's not enough, and the only thing holding them back is that they're tied to an office or tied to a physical job. There are always ways, right, of finding enough of a side hustle online these days where you can fund your travels,
yeah,
within reason, I think.
yeah, very true.
So okay, guys. So there's so much more to ask and talk about, but I'd like to know kind of where are you on your journey now? Are you somewhat nearing? Is this like just an ongoing thing? Have you got any plans to like take a break and stay in one place
Maybe
now,
you can
or
tell them the countries you still want to visit.
No, we have found that we do miss our friends and family, obviously, and
yeah,
also because we do still work, it is nice to sometimes show our faces to the companies that we work with or for.
hmm
So we found kind of on balance that we like to take like about a trip of about 3 months and then circle back to
yeah,
the Netherlands, be there for a bit.
okay,
We're also still, we have our companies in the Netherlands, so we do also technically, according to the rules, have to be in the Netherlands for 4 months
yeah,
a year.
yeah,
Yeah, we finding that it's sustainable that way. Travel for about 3 months, be back in the Netherlands for a bit, and
And the nice thing is
yeah,
the Netherlands is central enough
yeah,
in Europe that you make
yeah,
loops. So in summer you
yeah,
go up to Norway and Sweden and Finland, and
yeah,
we want to go to Iceland pretty soon,
oh
but
yeah,
maybe next year. Go back for the winter, change over, so change the summer clothes for the winter clothes or
yeah,
whatever you have to do, and then go back down
yeah.
for the winter. And then now we're in Spain. Next year we might be in Greece or
Greece,
Morocco.
Morocco.
Yeah,
Yeah, we really want to go to the UK. Actually, we haven't been there, so we might
yeah,
do
we're
that
going this
this
summer
spring.
maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
oh,
And honestly, Europe
we'll have to meet up.
is amazing. There's so much to see. There's so many cultures, the food, like the people. Yeah, I like. We're not swearing off like long distance travel. Like we love travel. Like we still want to do it. We've been to Indonesia this year and we loved it. But honestly, Europe really amazed us like how diverse it actually is, and
Yeah.
some of the countries we've been to. We went to Slovenia last year, had never been before,
Oh,
and
Slovenia's stunning. Yeah, I
where
did some incredible rafting there. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
I agree. Like I spent a big chunk of my time mostly in like the Caribbean. I was in the Cayman Islands for 8 years, in the US. You know, never really spent much time in Europe, but recently, and then with work, I moved over to Spain from where I was in the Bahamas, and I was like, wow, there is so much culture here, so many seasons, so many things to see, and then I fell in love with cycling. I'm like, yeah, Europe's pretty much got it all.
yeah,
It's really cool. There is
Yeah,
so
and if
much
you
to
don't
see.
enjoy the region where you're at the moment, you drive off to the next, and then it's completely
Yeah,
different
in a
yeah,
couple of
in a
hours,
couple of
which
hours.
is
And it's
real luxury.
true.
Like to people coming from the US, for example, where can you drive for a couple
Yeah,
of hours and be in a
yeah,
different country with a different cuisine and a different
yeah.
language? Like, yeah, it's
I
just
Mexico.
think the biggest challenge I had, not challenge, but like adaptation, was like you just got to bring it right down to like a whole different pace. Because when I came from the US to Spain, I'm like, why is everything closed in the middle of the day, and why is there nothing open on a Sunday? I need stuff now. I want it now. I've just come from Walmart where I can buy a dishwasher at 3 a.m. You know, and in Spain and Italy, I found I was working in Italy as well, and man, that's like Spain double again, even slower. They're like people falling over, falling asleep, standing up. But it's nice. It's just a more relaxed way of living. I'm a big fan of Europe, so yeah, I can understand why you're having such a good time. So, what would you say as we kind of start getting towards the end here, to people who are listening to this? They're inspired, right? They're motivated. They're feeling a bit stuck in a rut, but obviously there's some fear connected to that of this way of living. What would you say to them? What would your advice be to people who are thinking about taking the plunge? Maybe not necessarily in a camper van. Maybe they just need more. They want more. They want it. They want to go out and experience the world, but they're a bit scared. What would your advice be?
I think one thing we did, or specifically maybe I did, because I was a bit more scared than Jurrien of the change.
I got
Yeah,
a bit more of a safety net in my environment growing up, so
yeah,
I'm a bit more of a risk taker,
yeah,
especially when it comes to finance.
yeah,
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
so and she had that less, so she's
yeah,
a bit more
yeah,
cautious about
yeah,
can we afford stuff like this?
yeah,
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 yeah.
it's
Well,
natural.
one thing I did, what really helped me was figure out what I wanted, like what the dream was, and started finding people out there already doing it and following them just on Instagram or on YouTube, for example. Because I really think with stuff like this, like I love my friends and family, but yeah, like you said, I come from, well, I guess you could call it a poor background even.
Hmm.
So those people, if I ask them for advice, they will always tell me, like, stay in your job, be secure.
Right.
They would not give me the advice I needed at that moment, which was Just
Right.
go out and do it, and don't be scared. And I think that happens quite a bit, because friends and family, they love you, right? But they want the best for you, and to them, the best is often keeping things as they
What
are.
they did, yeah, and what their
Stay
parents
safe.
did.
Yeah, stay safe. Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
it just really helps to connect, and start following people out there already doing what you are doing, because it just shows you that it can be done. And when you connect with them, like we connected with people in vans on Instagram and just ask them questions, and it just motivates you and makes you excited and a little bit less scared, I think.
Well, and this is a first-hand experience of people that wanting to buy electric vans for camper conversions coming to us, just like how you found us, and asking, how do you do this, and
You
what
must
are
get
the things you
tons
have
of people
to.
contacting you. Yeah.
Yeah,
We do.
yeah, a lot. Yeah, we have a lot of people.
which is also
nice, but it's also time-consuming. But it's really nice that people.
Because you trailblazed, right? You were one of the first that are doing this, so you're the go-to people.
We're the first, but we think we're the first for this size van.
In this type of conversions, let's say we're definitely one of the first,
yeah,
and also out there on the internet, because there weren't any people like blogging about it, or which is why we started our own website, greentraveljournal.com, as well, and are quite active on social media, is because we get more questions almost than we can answer. So also to put the information out there.
Also, one of the reasons why we wanted to go electric, because we wanted to show the world, or people that were interested, that it's already possible to do it this way.
It can be done.
It's more expensive,
amazing,
but yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
Well, more expensive
and something that
to buy, not to drive, to buy.
Right.
First,
a lot of
investment
upfront
is more
costs
expensive at the moment, because Fiat is coming out with a newer van than this one, way better, because it's built as an electric van and not as a diesel with an electromotor, and they have 40% more range, 60% cheaper, or the other way around. So
it's getting so
much better and cheaper.
Yeah, and while you're on the road to run it, it is definitely cheaper than a diesel camper van.
And so, something else that I think people need to realize, because I think you guys are living proof of what, that it is possible, because of social media now and content and all that kind of stuff. If you have the balls to say, screw this, let's go and do that amazing thing, right? A natural byproduct of that is you start inspiring people who start looking at you, looking up to you, living through you, right? They want to engage with you. They want to consume your content. So if you realize that, like you guys are doing, and you use that as a to naturally profit off the back of this incredible experience you're having by naturally inspiring other people, by putting out content and creating opportunities, putting out products, books, blogs, all this kind of stuff. That's just one example of how you can monetize this life purely just by doing something different. All of these other opportunities and doors open because people are like, shit, those guys are incredible. I want whatever they're doing, whatever they're selling, I want a piece of it. Yeah. Would you agree with that?
It's something we think about, but it's also not as easy as you might think. We're doing something really different than most people. It's pretty hard to become the influencer, in quotes, because I don't like the term. But if that's something you want to do, maybe try to get it's hard to get through. Yeah,
it's effort. You've got to be so consistent.
Yeah. Well, I think if you want to be like a big influencer, yes, but you can also, I guess we could call ourselves micro influencers, and that's totally fine. Like we've built not a huge community, but a very, very engaged community, and there's definitely ways to monetize that. If that would
let's say, for example, right, one thing that comes to mind, it might not be something that you want to do. I'm just like throwing things out. If you wanted to, based on the things that you've done and the chances and opportunities that you've taken, you could very easily, with making some connections, putting some content out, you could start giving talks, right? You could start charging to get up on stage and talk to environmentally green communities about what you've done. And you could monetize that because you're
actually something
different.
We're already doing, so we didn't even think of that. But
that's true.
You're totally right.
I'm looking at the social media side of it, but it's more like we have done that in the past, but it's not the way we can make. Then we have to focus on it more. Maybe.
Of course, it's all about focus, and right now we're good financially, so that's a really comfortable place.
It's just an example of like we said right back at the beginning. when
Yeah.
you step outside of the norm,
Yeah.
shit starts to happen, doors start to open because you are breaking the mold, right?
Yeah.
So I would say immediately to anyone who's like, God, this is awesome, but I'm scared of being different. It's like, no, like the risk is staying normal, I think,
Yeah. There's
right?
nothing wrong
The
with being
risk is
different.
staying normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, I've got 2 more questions because we could speak for the next 6 days. We haven't even spoken about the best countries, the nicest wines. I think people are going to have to contact you directly to find out all that stuff. And I'm sure people will be reaching out to you and asking questions, just what you need, more people crawling all
No,
over you with questions.
we love those messages. Please do. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
But
So,
we're going to put all your information in the show notes so people know how to reach you. But two things that I want to ask as we wrap up is, how have you found it being together 24/7, 7 days a week in this small, tiny little box? I think it's amazing. And I think, you know, it's so hard to do. Like I said, I've had my very, very short experiences, and I think you really have to be with the right partner to do it. But do you guys honestly have like your ups and downs, or is it all smooth sailing?
yeah, we have ups and downs. No, of course.
I think we had a
Yeah.
fight 2 days ago
Yeah.
about something silly, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but I do always say, like, the funny thing is people always zone in on the box, like the little box that we're living in. But
6 square meters.
yeah,
Yeah.
but they forget about our backyard. Like, if we fight, of
Right.
course we fight. I can just go ahead
Go
and
for a
take
walk
a
down the
walk
beach,
on the
climb
most
a
beautiful
mountain.
beach, and that will like make my mood better for sure.
We have a
And
different garden almost every day.
yeah. And we have thought about ways, like, we're both introverts, so we do need our own space and time to recharge. And we have built our van quite consciously, or I say we, definitely did most of the building.
You were there.
Yeah. To set it up in a way that we can both find a corner. So we have a set bed, which you can, for example, go on with his headphones and just watch a movie, and I can sit back here and just do my own thing. And it's not like we have to like talk 24/7. Like we found ways to just make it.
Yes, you are
Yeah.
together 24/7, almost 24/7. But most of the time you're sleeping, so that's great. And the other times you can just zone. I can really zone out when I put on my headphones or music or watch a movie or work, and then you can do the same. You love to read, and then I can talk to her what I want, but she doesn't hear me even without headphones because she's just gone, and then I have to nudge.
Yeah.
Hey, I was talking to you. So it's being able to find a way to be alone together.
Yeah.
Yeah, great answer. I think it's amazing, and I think, I think anyone that can do what you've done for that long, you know, you're destined to be together, because it's difficult. And lastly, guys, I'd like to ask a question. This question's pretty much everyone that's come on. It's kind of, you know, I'd ask you just to be honest and maybe a little vulnerable around it, if you can. But you know, when we come to this whole mental health shit show, right? The world's in such a mess. Social media, everyone like a phone glued to their face, comparing themselves all day long. They're not doing enough, not pretty enough, not successful enough, don't have enough money, not enough of this, not enough of that. I think is a huge contributor to why everyone's so fucked up at the moment, especially kids. And I think that one of the biggest cures for that is, well, two things. I think, and they're kind of the same thing, but I think, you know, being healthy and doing lots of exercise is one really good thing. And then I think also like travel and getting out, seeing the world, being under big skies, you know, breathing fresh air, being in nature, you know, it can be a cure in itself, like a long time before you start throwing pills down your neck. So I'm interested to know, you guys, if I could ask you both, um, how you've been living this life. Are you happy today as people, inside and out, physically and mentally, with where you are and how you feel day to day? Would you say that you're happy in yourselves?
I think I am.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I think I was 15 or something, 16 maybe. I went to a funeral, and funerals are sad. It's just sad. But when I came back, I thought, okay, if I'm going to lay in a coffin sometime, I want to do things. I want to be happy about. So I decided not to do anything, or so I'm not doing anything that doesn't make me happy. And that's when I think I was 16, 17, maybe I decided it. And well, maybe unconsciously I decided that. But if I think about it, that was the moment for me that I said, okay, I'm going to do things to make myself happy. And maybe it's a bit rude, but fuck the world.
Right,
Basically,
right.
I'm gonna live my life, and other people are invited to join in, but it's my life. I'm not gonna um, do things I'm
You're not
not
going to conform.
right. Not being happy because society wants me to. Basically, work a 9 to 5 job. So that's something for me would be. I've never done it. I never want to do it because it just the thought of me sitting at an office would be
would make you unhappy.
yeah, it's making me, the thought is making me unhappy,
Yeah.
so I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me
And
the answer
and
is,
Sarah?
I think for me the answer is a bit more complicated because I do, in general, I'm just a pretty happy person. Like, I'm very blessed with my genes. I think I'm just optimistic and I'm a happy person. But I have found that in this life on the road, the highs are higher, which is amazing, but the lows are also lower. And that's something I didn't expect at first. And I'm also not sure if I can explain it, like, exactly why it is. I think it's life in a different gear. Like, yeah, who has the possibility to seek out beaches every day and just park in the most amazing places and watch? I already saying that it's going to be an amazing sunset and we're going to be able to see it just like we did 4 times last week, for example. It's just, the highs are awesome, but what does come with it is,
Right.
the
Maybe the comparisons of, because it's so high. Yeah, I can
well,
understand that.
not exactly that. It's more, I live in a tin can. Like, I don't have, like, I need a bit of security, like you said, because of my background, and I don't have that house to fall back on right now. So if my van does break down, which it will do at some point, because that's what all vans do, just makes me feel super insecure because it's my house, it's my whole
Right.
life, and when something like that happens, then I do freak
Yeah.
out quite a bit, and quite a bit more than you, because
You mean we're insured for the van
yeah,
and we get our house back,
yeah,
but at what cost? So
yeah,
yes, we're going to get our money back
yeah,
for the investment we made, but it's if somebody totals our car now because drunk driving or something like that, and we have the issue that we don't have a house anymore. Okay,
yeah,
you want to have a fallback, and I'm
yeah, and it's just, it just makes you feel a bit more vulnerable, I think. But I
Vulnerable.
also
Yeah.
think it's okay. Like, I think it's completely worth it because of those highs. Like, uh, it's just a different way of living, and I do think we don't know many van lifers who've done it like past the 5-year mark, like the full time van life. And I do understand at some point wanting that base again, which is also why we're looking at property a little bit. But yeah, I hope that makes sense. It just, yeah.
Yeah,
It
no,
happens.
it made complete
Yeah.
sense, and I appreciate you taking a moment to think about it, because I do think it's a massive issue that isn't discussed enough. And then you ask someone every day, we say, "Hey, how you doing?" "Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm great. What about you?" But it's like, really, are you really good? Because you haven't been out in 3 months or whatever the situation is. So
yeah.
it's good to just sometimes stop and think, I guess. But guys, Jurrien and Sara, I think we're going to have to, unfortunately, bring things to a close. But it's been, I think it's amazing, amazing, amazing what you guys are doing. I think if there was more people like you in the world living their best life, I think the whole world would be a happier place. The fact that you're doing it without even harming one speck of the environment makes it even more amazing. And